And whether it's your first time joining us or you're a regular, thank you for being here with us today. Shopify Compass is a learning platform. It's built for you to take the guesswork out of entrepreneurship. And as you know, we host these workshops every week on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, just like today, covering different topics that will help you launch and grow your business with more confidence. And at the moment, we're running a special Black Friday Cyber Monday series. We've had, I think this is our third week now. So over the next few weeks, we'll continue covering all different topics that will help you prepare for what will be probably the busiest weekend online of the year. So before we dive into the topic, a quick reminder that we do have, as always, a live Q&A at the end, which is really a fun time to ask your questions. So if you haven't popped into the chat yet on the screen, do that, sign in, let us know where you're from and what your name is. You'll be able to chat throughout the presentation with others on the workshop. And also we do have some lovely Shopify folk in there as well. So Misty and Lee can answer any Shopify related questions during the workshop. And we will gather all your questions for our presenter for the end as well to hear them speak the answers out. So with that, let's kick into the topic. We have a very special guest today. He'll be talking about product packaging and fulfillment, best practices for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And that lovely guest is Phillip Akhzar. He's the founder and CEO of Arka. They're a Shopify partner, so you can find them listed on our app store. And Arka offers a custom packaging app that integrates seamlessly with Shopify. And we also are very lucky to have one of my colleagues here from Shopify, Danielle Gibson. She's a product marketer on the Shopify Fulfillment Network. And I know we always have so many great questions when it comes to the Fulfillment Network. So she'll be joining us for the live Q&A portion at the end. But until then, you're here to learn about packaging best practices, how to optimize your shipping costs, how to increase sustainability, boost customer loyalty, and finally, how to prepare for BFCM. So with that, Phillip and Danielle, very big welcome to you.
Thank you so much. It's a good day.
Awesome. So I will let you, Phillip, kick it off, and we'll see you at the end for the Q&A.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Shopify folk, for attending. As mentioned, my name is Phillip. Our company's Arka. Quick background on myself, just real quick, so you know that whoever's speaking right now has some sense of credibility. Been in the packaging industry for well over a decade and a Shopify partner for roughly half that time. We've been a part of the Shopify app network for about 5 years. It's been great working with Shopify entrepreneurs and helping them get their packaging, especially during this time. We're seeing a lot of brick and mortar move towards online e-commerce, and that has definitely showed some challenges for businesses. So hopefully this can be helpful to you. So overview, we'll go over quick tips for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Managing lead times, that's very important. The fact that you guys are attending this already, you guys are way ahead of the game, because the sooner you can start on this, the better. Things can get pretty crazy during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, especially leading up to it. How to use packaging inserts, save money on packaging, outsource your fulfillment to a 3PL partner, especially SFN, wink, wink. And then quickly go into a case study about Shopify Fulfillment Network, which is SFN. So quick tips. First of all, start early. As mentioned, the fact that you're here is already a great start. This is a wonderful time to speak to your suppliers and negotiate one-time rate reductions, whether it's being able to purchase things in bulk, being able to get new items listed, piloting something, whatever the case. Now is a wonderful time to be able to do that. They're going to have leverage on their end, and thus you should be using that to leverage things on your end with your suppliers. You can purchase more material up front, improve scheduling, especially if you can start early and get an understanding of what your needs are and ultimately your clients' needs when it comes to getting out a certain volume for production so that you can get your product out the door in a timely fashion for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which is the biggest time of the year. Make sure you can deliver outsourcing to a 3PL partner at this time. This would be, especially if you're doing 3 to 5 shipments. If you're at the 3 to 5 shipments a day range, this is a good time to hit up SFN. And this way you can focus on scaling your business versus, the scrambling that comes with getting things out the door, especially again, in time for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. This is the time to kind of reset things and iron everything out. Make sure returns are easy and free when possible for your customers. So everything from not just when your customer purchases the order, your job's not done, what is the post-purchase experience look like for your customers? And also you can design some sort of seasonal holiday packaging. Something that we can briefly touch on later in the presentation is that with Arka, you can design an order packaging in under 2 weeks. You can even get it rushed within 5 days. That doesn't mean you should, take advantage of the fact that things can happen quickly. You should still start early, get things done as quickly as possible. But point being is you can pilot smaller iterations of packaging during this time as well. Experiment, see if there's anything holiday themed that might get the attention of your customers, be it existing or new. So when it comes to these lead times, please keep in mind these dates. Black Friday at the bottom, November 27th, Cyber Monday, November 30th. So obviously start early, purchase packaging up front, because here are what lead times can look like. For boxes, it can be around 2 weeks. In some cases, it can be even 5 days. If you do unbranded packaging, even less. But if you're going the branded route, even poly bags can be 6 to 8 weeks. So give yourself a buffer, please, please, please. This happens every year. We get hit up and people are panicking and wanting to get packaging as soon as possible. They'll sacrifice on quality. They'll make sacrifices beyond quality. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. Don't be that business. Just start early and make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, for lack of a better phrase, so that November 27th and come November 30th, you're prepared. Don't get too bogged down by this table. This is just giving you a high-level overview of what those processes of printing look like and what the quantities, respective quantities rather, for those print processes look like. So for something like digital print, if you're doing less than 5,000 boxes, for example, this is a faster turnaround time. You can get this done in around 2 weeks. If you're doing more than 5,000, for example, then there's going to be a longer setup time. It can be 3 to 5 weeks for boxes, 6 to 8 weeks for poly mailers. And as you can see, I'm putting the higher end just so you can be cautious, more conservative on the side of timelines for how long it takes for something to print. And what that means in terms of quality. So just quick overview, with digital print, it's basically a giant HP printer, the same printer you have at home or in an office that just sprays ink. It's inkjet on a giant substrate, which in this case would be the cardboard, which then gets folded up into your box. Flexolitho, it's the highest quality that you can get of a package, but you need to pay for like setup and tooling. And until you actually hit the 5,000 plus, 10,000 even quantity, it makes sense to print things digitally, even though the per unit cost can be a little bit more expensive. With Flexolitho, the per unit is cheaper, but you need to commit to your designs with the tooling that you purchase, because that tooling is essentially a giant rubber stamp the size of a coupe that gets rolled in ink, and then the cardboard goes through it, like extrudes out the other end like a roller, like a pizza roller, and then comes out as your branded box versus inkjet. So keep in mind what volume you're at. Keep in mind what volume per design you would want. And based on that, you can always talk to us. We can help you make that decision. Point is, main takeaway, those are your dates, and then those are the timelines it takes to produce. Find out where you are so that you can be prepared. Here's how you can use packaging inserts for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And by inserts, this can be a myriad of things. It can mean thank you cards, for example, with a QR code that takes them to your social media, your customers, takes them to your social media or to a discount code, whatever the case. It has some sort of interaction, again, in the post-consumer experience. It can promote a loyalty program. There are companies like Loyalty Lion and Smile.io that are coming out with features that actually Arka is integrating with, where you can get a QR code branded on the inside of your package, and then your customer scanning that gives them points for a loyalty program. And whatever that link is going to go to is completely up to you. It can just be, it can show you where to recycle your package, which is really big right now. It can help them share on social media. You can also just ask them. You don't need to do a QR code. As easy as QR codes are, I don't want you to think that you need to be overly techie. It really comes down to effort, right? So whether it's a handwritten note that you just took the time to write something, that's just as good, if not better, as a note that just has thank you written on it with beautiful designs. But the point is that the two things that those items have in common is that there's clearly effort in it. So that should be your focus. Don't look too much to your competition. Don't compare yourself to other companies. What do you think your customer would want? Put yourself in your customer's shoes. And if they like that type of thing when it comes to a handwritten note, or if they just want some really snazzy design, or if they want a combination of both, try to deliver on that. And these are very easy things to do, first of all, and they're not that expensive. They're just a simple investment that shows that you're trying to reach out to your customer, and again, showing that effort. It really all just comes down to effort. As mentioned, this can help increase customer loyalty. It's perfect for cross-selling. If I've purchased items online before where, I might get like a tub of protein powder, and there'll be like a chocolate bar, like a protein bar attached to it as just like a thank you of being a loyal customer. This is a great time to do something like that. This is a great time to take inventory that maybe you want to push through. And I'm not saying give your customers like old crap that you've been accumulating. What we're saying is just if there's something you can toss in just as a thank you, it won't go unnoticed. Even if it's something they might not ultimately like, hopefully they give you that feedback. You find out that it's something that you need to change or at least adjust to some degree, and you'll have more happy customers. That has to do with a great way to liquidate hard to move merchandise. It doesn't even necessarily have to be hard to move, but if in case for any of the listeners out there, there are things that you need to get rid of, this is a great way to just give it to your customers as a thank you. How to save money on packaging? Obviously, you need to analyze your packaging needs. Be creative with what you have. Know your customers' preferences. These are all very common sense reminders for you out there, so that when you're developing your packaging, making adjustments to your packaging, or wanting to add something to your packaging, rather, you take these things in mind. And number 4 there, minimizing packaging depth. This is just an interesting hack that we've noticed on our end, where a lot of businesses are kind of neglecting. And again, don't get too hard on yourself if this isn't something you looked at. You are more than welcome to approach us. We can help you with this. But essentially, something like USPS, FedEx, DHL, they all have different shipping tiers, right? So depending on the volumetric weight of your package and ultimately your product that goes inside the package, and those dimensions can make a huge difference. We've seen businesses that are in a completely different packaging tier just because they had an extra inch on the depth. For whatever reason, it's the depth that always catches everyone on their package. And ultimately that ends up costing them more money on the package itself, but also on the shipping costs. Like, you can be bumped into a completely different tier because your package is too big. And so if you spend that time analyzing your packaging needs instead of buying something just off the shelf, or maybe you just bought the wrong box that was off the shelf because someone who didn't know what they were talking about recommended it to you, or you just grabbed it haphazardly, that's totally fine. Now is the time to make those changes and those adjustments, and we can help you with that. Stay updated about innovations. Understand China versus US costs and benefits. It doesn't even necessarily need to be China, just overseas costs. Sometimes people might say, oh, yes, the per unit cost is cheaper to get done elsewhere. But then when they amortize the cost of shipping into the per unit costs, meaning they just take everything and divide it by the number of products or packages that they bought, it might not actually be cheaper. So just take a look at that. This is all just, it's work, but it's all just making sure all housekeeping is done so that you're not losing money unnecessarily, if that makes sense. Because a lot of these things, these are easy gotchas that can happen and are so common. We see it. There's probably some of you on the other end saying, of course, I do all this. You'd be surprised. A lot of people don't. And for those of you that aren't, don't be hard on yourself. Now is the time to make that change. Different variations you can do. Stock packaging is one. Like, it's affordable. You can use any carrier you want. It's a higher margin for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but having your brand on there in some way, shape, or form has pretty much become table stakes for e-commerce. So whether you can do stamps, stickers, tapes, the inserts that we talked about. So even if it's a plain box that has that note that comes from you personally, that your customer can then call back to that packaging unboxing experience that is tied to your product, then that's great. So whatever you can do on top of that, on top of just having a blank box, that is, or a bag or whatever, is seen as a bonus, is seen as an added benefit for sure. And overall, that packaging style has to do with free dollars and cents. So if you are based in the US, packaging is free. You can just go to USPS and get packaging for free. Granted, that means you're tied to USPS and you can't have any branding on it. After that is cents, which is this slide right here where we're talking about stock packaging, and then dollars. And that all depends on your volume too, right? So if you're doing thousands and thousands of boxes or boxes or bags, then it still also might be cents per box or per bag. In which case, there's mailer boxes, shippers, cartons, poly mailers. We can help brand all of these. These are all at your disposal. It really depends on where you are in your business. And if you're ready for this, you can do branded boxes as few as 10. You can do branded poly mailers as few as 300. But does this fit within your budget? Please feel free to ask us, do your own research on your end. And we're very happy to help you. As mentioned, outsourcing your fulfillment to a 3PL partner. This way you can stop storing your inventory. There's a lot of great success stories of people starting in their living room, myself included, for this business. And that might mean, boxing parties where we used to throw these where if there's product being sent out the door, it's me, it's one of my best friends, it's my girlfriend, maybe it's my cousin and a dog in the living room, all folding boxes together. That's all good and great. But eventually, hopefully, depending on your volumes, you want to move on and you want to stop storing your inventory. And that's where a 3PL partner can come into play and be more helpful, specifically FSN for Shopify. You can stop having to deal with packaging boxes, shipping carriers, running a warehouse. All this is costly, timely, removes focus. There's opportunity cost of working with your brand, working with your company, and wanting to scale your business. And you can gain a strategic geographic footprint with multiple fulfillment centers, which is also something that Shopify does. So, Danny, if you want to actually go over a little bit about the Shopify Fulfillment Network, would love to tell the audience a bit more about that.
Yeah. So as I was just saying, this is a good example of engaging a 3PL and how a 3PL, so a third-party logistics logistics partner, how they can help bring your brand to life. And in this case, finding somebody that puts your brand first so that you can use this packaging and really create a consistent unboxing experience for your customers is really important. So given everything Phil's just said, one cool thing that the Shopify Fulfillment Network, just like Shopify does, is it's going to allow you to put your brand first. So you're able to bring that packaging, bring your branding, give us those instructions, and we'll pick, pack, and ship your orders so that there is that consistent experience for your customers, which I think is really important. And obviously that last extension to build loyalty and really allow your brand to shine through. So like Phil said, if you're bringing marketing inserts, any type of specific packaging or packaging slips, the Shopify Fulfillment Network will help accept those, make sure that it's going out the door and your order is bringing that surprise and delight every time it arrives on someone's doorstep.
Awesome. And with that, we're pretty much done. So thank you for listening. We have a Shopify course on Compass. It's called Introduction to Packaging Your Products. You can see a nice little loop of that video right there. You can reach out to us, support@arka.com, social media @Arka Packaging, and special promotion for everyone who's listening. Use the promo code Shopify15 when using Arka, and you will get 15% off. So that's our thank you to you for coming in and listening. So thank you so much. And with that, we will open it up to questions.
Amazing. Thanks, Phil and Danny, for covering all of that. And I know there's lots of questions, so let's dive into those as well. And for sure, the course that you're mentioning, it's right here on shopifycompass.com. So the replay will be on there. The course is on there. So definitely continue digging in there. So let's start high level Shopify fulfillment. There's probably people on here who are not on it yet, but are excited about it. Danny, can you let us know? I know there's certain countries that it's available in, stuff like that.
Yeah, so the Shopify Fulfillment Network is essentially a set of distributed warehouses across North America. So we're actually servicing US-based businesses, and we're starting to open up into Canada, which is really exciting. So if you're looking to work with somebody for peak season, this is a great time to start exploring that. And when we say start exploring, like Phil said, if you're starting to ship more than 3 packages a day and you haven't used a fulfillment partner, starting to look into it, it's a great time to do that. And you're going to be able to save time, automate, and keep all your focus really on scaling your business versus getting those shipments out on time and really managing that peak volume that you'll probably see during the holidays. So excited to be welcoming more US-based businesses into the network anytime now.
Amazing. And this is probably going to be very specific to the business, but Danny, if there's anything you can highlight overall, there was a question in the chat. How does costing work with the Shopify Fulfillment Network?
Yeah, so there's a breakdown, and you're able to learn more at shopify.com/fulfillment, but based on pick and pack, there's a breakdown really based on your volume and where we're able to see your customer base. So we look at your sales history and we work with you to really say, where are you going to be distributed across the network, reducing that last mile and that your shipping costs and really delivery time overall. So each customer that comes in, we work with you to find that solution, and we break down the pricing there. So a bit more of that menu can be seen at shopify.com/fulfillment.
Nice. Yeah. And one of my favorite things is how we are making it so accessible with, a low quantity of products that businesses can start with. You don't have to be, a huge company already. So that's something also you might be surprised that you're qualified if you're thinking you're not. So check it out. And then I have a question from Chris. Who's responsible for shipping issues if I'm using Shopify Fulfillment Network? i.e., is Shopify responsible for any shipping issues?
So in our larger shipping portfolio, there's across the board, we work with a set of couriers that help us deliver from warehouse or from retailer to doorstep. So depending on the situation, we obviously work with carriers to make sure that there's a standard SLA and you have access to pre-negotiated rates and shipping times to make sure that those deliveries are happening on time. In most cases, what we'll do is we'll help navigate and make sure you're setting up yourself for success in communicating any shipping delays that we foresee, which right now, peak season is almost every day. So we're working with carriers to really see what those delays look like and make sure that businesses are able to maintain high customer satisfaction by explaining, here's the delays to expect, here's where you're going to see our shipments arrive. So we're working closely with those carriers to make sure that our businesses have the most access to information as they kind of fluctuate in terms of shipping delays to come as volumes really rise before the holidays.
Good points. And since we are on the topic of BFCM, and I wonder if maybe Phillip and Danielle, you might have two opinions here. We're kind of asking you to pull out the crystal ball here, but what impact has COVID had on the kind of already lengthier shipping and fulfillment times? And do you anticipate this being an issue as we kind of gear up for BFCM?
Phil, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to go first? Yeah, no, I can go. At least on the supply chain side, what we're seeing for packaging is that some materials, some products, especially stock, are being rerouted from warehouses all over the country to be able to be sent to that respective client. What that means is essentially you'll have distribution centers that have a bunch of blank boxes or a bunch of blank poly mailers, and those distribution centers will be all over the country. Obviously, each one of those respective nodes is going to send something to its client based on the proximity of that warehouse, right? Because there's such demand of poly mailers, of boxes right now, we're having people on the other side of the country sending their excess inventory. I say excess because I'm saying they just happen to have more than this supplier in, let's say, California, who's almost out. Everything is just being like shifted over from one warehouse to another, depending on where that volume demand is. And ultimately, some places just run out. They'll just run out. So I'm seeing, long story short, there's a lot of back orders. There's a lot of back orders on unbranded packaging specifically, less so on branded packaging. But you need to add a buffer. I'm just telling everyone to add like 30% buffer to any timeline. That would be an intelligent way to move forward for the holiday season. And that holiday season is already now. It's already peak season. I mean, we're seeing numbers right now. We get to see even on Shopify, because we're integrated, we get to see when people reinstall an app, whether they're like reopening an app or reopening a store or just pushing volume. And we're just seeing those numbers come through. They're already doing the volumes that you would expect for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And I don't think that the overall supply chain of packaging could have anticipated this, and thus it's taking longer. So, and in some cases, overseas packaging, forget about it. Like you need to be getting your stuff done domestically, and that's not just due to conflict of interest because we can make everything domestically. I'm seeing it happen. We're seeing businesses that might not have been a fit for Arka before come to us and say, "Hey, our supplier overseas is completely shot. We need you." And we say, "Well, domestically is like 3 times the price of overseas. Are you cool with that?" And they say, "Absolutely," because they have customers that need product. So, supply chain, on the supply chain side, add a buffer is, sorry, my shorter answer is just add like a 30% buffer to everything. It's things take time.
That's great context though.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think that sounds, sometimes that sounds conservative, but right now, as we're this close to the holiday season, already seeing such, consistent peak volumes. All our couriers are seeing really high volumes on day to day, just as e-commerce has exploded over the past few months. I think one thing we definitely recommend is just businesses continue to explore ways to directly communicate to your customers about shipping delays, what to expect, and know that that's going to help maintain that customer satisfaction overall. But that idea of buffering is super important. I think as you look at your wider business, one of the ways that the Shopify Fulfillment Network can help do that is if you're distributing your inventory across warehouses that are closer to your customer, you're reducing some of those shipping variables and those timing variables and those cost variables by being closer to your customer. So definitely that in mind. It's peak season every day right now, but with BFCM coming up, any pre-planning that can happen earlier is better.
Absolutely. Don't be a cowboy. This is not the time to be reckless at all. Like you're going to pay for it. You'll just have to pay for it. There's 200, I'm seeing across the board, there's 200% increase in costs to rush something. You don't want to have to you will literally have to pay for it. So to everyone listening, you guys, you all are actually way ahead of the game already to even be jumping in on a discussion that's Black Friday, Cyber Monday related, regardless of the fact that this is packaging and fulfillment focused. The fact that you're looking at it right now, everyone who's listening, I hope the best for everyone who's out there, but specifically you guys, hats off to you, and pat yourself on the back that you're even taking the time to be concerned about this, because you should be. It's the Wild West out there right now in terms of timing, and you just never know. So be prepared, and good job for listening in, for sure.
Yeah, and thanks, Phil, for being so transparent, giving us so much context. We love the rambling because I think everyone can pick up little nuggets that apply to them. So keep it coming. We like long answers. And actually, another question for you from Priest, for packaging lead time. Is that from the time the design is chosen or finalized? How would you?
Wow, what a great question. So how it works with us is you place an order within 24 to 48 hours, your artwork is sent to you. And if you approve it right then and there, yes, that is the lead time. And there have been so many times where customers they'll take the 2 weeks to approve, and then it takes another 2 weeks to produce, and they say, "Hey, I ordered 3 weeks ago. What's taking so long?" And we say, "You just approved it." So I'm so glad you brought that up. We don't mention that explicitly enough. So I definitely need to take note of that. And whatever future webinar we have around this, I need to just put in huge bold, from artwork approval. I know my support team is probably wiping sweat off their face right now in knowing that I just mentioned that, because they constantly have to deal with this. It's totally after artwork approval. Great question.
Amazing. And then from Sujay, does Arka have consultants that work with clients to design the best packaging for them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So it's not so. It depends on what you mean by help design the best packaging. We will create a package that fits your product. We actually do it's a flat fee. It's not a moneymaker for us. It's honestly just to get rid of the riffraff that just want to come in and get free work. It's $99 to be able to say, I want to have this glass fit perfectly in a box or a bag or whatever. And with that, we'll be able to create the size of the package. We'll be able to create the insert. And by insert, this time, I don't mean like the thank you letter. I mean like a cavity to place your product inside of that ultimately goes out the door. We will design that to spec and make sure that it's protecting your product and shipping safely. What we won't do is create a logo for you or a theme or that type of design work. But if you come equipped, look, if you have a Shopify store, I'm guessing and hoping you have some sort of theme or colors and ultimately a logo. If you have those and you know what size your product is, we totally got your back.
That's really great. And now I'm just curious. If somebody, of course, has their chosen colors, they know their logo, how does that work then? Do they just kind of input those fields? Are there, like how, if I want to create a beautiful custom
So I mean, we have an online customizer that allows you to go to the website and design your package online. But also, if you want to just have us handle it for you, you can just come in, select a package, pick a style. It's really self-serve. It's as easy as using a business card designer online, where you just go to our website, you can select which package you want, you pick the sizes, you pick the quantities, upload artwork, and just check out. So we can layer it on the box for you, or you can use the customizer and flip it around and color this side red, color this side blue, whatever. But for the most part, we'll handle it for you. And if you mess up along the way, no worries. Within 24 to 48 hours, as mentioned, designer will follow up and say, hey, actually your artwork needs to be, vectorized, which basically just means it needs to be a higher quality file. Or sorry, we can't do silver print that, on a holographic material, whatever. We'll follow up with you. It's not like you just check out and it goes into the ether and you never hear from us again. We'll follow up. We're there for you along the way and make sure that nothing goes into production. Nothing goes into production without your approval on arka.com. So, or the Arka app, whatever the case. Someone will walk you through that for sure. Good question.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that. Okay, another question just popped in for Phil, so I'll go right into that. So you mentioned minimizing package depth as one of the ways to save money. Do you have a chart or resources somewhere that shows how big a package should be depending on the dimensions of my product?
Oh yeah.
So we'll start with that.
Yeah. No. All this is actually public information on USPS.com. There's shipping tiers. You can actually, we have it on our site under the FAQ, first of all, but also I encourage you to do your research. Just look up shipping tiers based on dimensions. It's different on a per use case. However, it really just depends on the dimensions of your product and ultimately the dimensions of your package. And obviously you don't want to squish your product, but you don't want it rattling around in a box either. So, you can. It's on USPS's website. I'm pretty sure it's on FedEx's website. It's on all the shipping carriers' websites, and on some of the shipping APIs have it too, like Shippo and EasyPost. They all go over that with you. I would recommend that you contact your carrier. Because they will know best. Because they will know where you're shipping it from, where you're typically shipping it to. They'll have a lot more of that information. You're welcome. I'm not trying to abdicate responsibility and say, don't talk to us. I'm just saying a lot of that info your carriers will already have. Just ask them. And if they're, useless, just come back to us and we can walk through it. It'll just be a longer conversation if you talk to us. Whereas just,
go
ask
right
your
to the source.
Yeah. Go to the source.
Awesome.
For sure.
Cool. And another shipping related question. So Danny, this one might be from you. It's from Chris again, who had previously asked who's responsible for shipping issues when he uses the Shopify Fulfillment Network. So the follow-up question is, if you are the shipper of record and a package gets lost, the customer will only speak to you, not me, correct? So basically the customer would only speak to Shopify Fulfillment Network if it gets lost, or would they actually speak it to the sender?
They'll speak to the sender. But when you get that order number and you have that customer experience where you're saying, hey, haven't found package, or hey, package is delayed, or whatever, we've got all those things in our back end that we can track. So what would happen is a business owner would be able to talk to our support, which is a 24-hour support team that will essentially be able to get you information, as well as we're all online too. So it would be business owner speaks to their direct customer, and we'll be able to provide you with all the details to make sure that that's a quick turnaround and you're on the ball on it.
Perfect. And we do have a few, actually quite a few members on the call from Europe. Any teasers or hints, Danny, from you on what Europeans can expect?
SFN has intention. It's primarily serving US customers, and we're excited to be going into Canada. So more to come from us.
Yeah, definitely. You know, our mission is always roll things out internationally at all times, but just sometimes need a little bit of patience with that. Perfect. And so another actually question about packaging. What are some tactics to negotiate discounts on packaging?
It really comes down to volume. Sorry, great question, but I just jumped to it. Volume. If you can, and that's going to require homework internally on your end. So if you want that prize, you're going to have to do that hard work that comes with it. If you know what type of volumes to expect, even if you're forecasting, and you can be a little bit, don't exaggerate your volumes, but at the same time, you're basing it on what you think you're going to be selling, and don't have these be baseless, but just at the same time, be realistic, but make this seem like a difficult goal to acquire. You should be doing that regardless of the fact that you're having some supplier look over your notes on what type of volumes you should be doing. Like, personally speaking, for your business, what do you want your growth model to be? Are you doing 10% month over month? Are you doing 10% year over year? Are you doing 100% every day? Whatever. With that being said, figure out what type of forecasting you can do internally, share those notes, and say, look, this is where we're going to be. I need this type of pricing. Here's what my margin is. Be transparent with your suppliers too. Like, you should be able to trust your suppliers. In this case, I'm going to selfishly say us. Like, you can talk to us about it and say, yeah, I'm going to be doing this amount of volume in the coming months. Like, can you help me get something on consignment? Businesses do this with us all the time, where they'll be able to have like a frequency of reorder, and due to that reorder rate, they continually get that percentage off. So that's a great way to negotiate with suppliers. It's just transparency. I hope that was the answer you were looking for. It's not really like a secret or some sort of tactic that you can pull here other than communication.
Mm-hmm. A few questions on packaging inserts. Phil, does Arka offer packaging inserts in-house?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Both types of inserts. So whether it's the cavity to lay your product in and protect it, or if you want to send out some nice lettering, promo literature, we can help with that as well. Both of those things, keep in mind, they're custom, and you'll need to message us about it. There's no easy way to do that online, and if there was, it would be kind of confusing. You're like, I have a cup, here are the like, that's not going to work. So just message us and say, I have a mug or whatever that you're shipping, and apparel, beauty product, cannabis, whatever it may be, and say, here are my dimensions. I need an insert for this. I need to protect it. Honestly, it happens like 5 times a day where someone's asking, like, I need something that is that needs to be protected, or I need some sort of lettering that I want to send out the door, and we can help for sure.
Awesome. And what are some low-cost marketing insert ideas that we could use?
Sure. Something as simple as like the handwritten note. If you have the bandwidth for this, like if you're saying I ship 1,000 orders a day, what are some low budget marketing efforts? Maybe not a handwritten note, unless you literally have like a team of minions writing letters on your behalf. So in that case, I would just say, if you're on the higher volume, what you can do is take other inventory that you have and throw it in for free. Like, just give them something, just like a gratis product, just something that they can introduce them to another product category. This is it's such an easy way. You're literally getting into your customer's living room, right? So what do you want to get there? Not to sound too creepy, but like you're being transported to wherever this product is being received. And if you can give them something new to want to purchase or try, and either they're going to, be loyal to a completely new product, or maybe they were about to ditch your product and you gave them this new thing and they're going to try this instead. You never know. So that's one way, being able to inside print, just like printing on the inside. If you don't even want to do like the additional insert, and you're just like, I want the box to open up and have a message on the inside that's very, it's speaking to my customer. Like it's being able to, whether you like use their name or whatever, these are all ways to just communicate to your customer. It's showing effort. It's showing that you're trying to reach them. Nobody wants to buy something that everyone else has, in a way. I mean, we do in the sense that we want to be trendy at times, but in the same regard, having that special item that truly seemed like it was just packaged for you, is a really great way to build customer loyalty. I know I feel that way. Like, don't you feel that way when a friend does something like that for you? If someone says, I've never done this for or with anyone else before, that's a pretty magical feeling. And you can do that with your packaging, depending on what you send them and depending on how well you know your customers. And sorry, going back to rambling, but talking to your customers is so key. So it might be different for everyone. So, another way to answer that question is, well, what are your customers like? And based on that, find a simple way to deliver that, and delivering that message through your packaging is a great way to do it.
Yeah. And lots of, I know for myself, and I'm sure everyone listening, lots of like online orders coming in these days. We're definitely order things instead of going into stores. So I know I've been spoiled with a lot of custom packaging, and you kind of start to, get excited and see when custom packaging does come in. So it's kind of a big deal now.
Totally. If you're not going to have a physical store that you're going to walk into, then what else is left to touch other than the product and the package it came in? So those are big shoes to fill. It's big shoes to fill, to walk into a store and have that completely different experience. You're not stepping into something anymore. It's coming to you. So how are you going to deliver that? Is something that I encourage merchants to ask themselves.
And I know there's a lot of, for many people, they want to be environmentally conscious. So it's kind of like that gamble between how much do you want to add in there? How much do you not want to? So a question from Elizabeth: does Arka use environmentally friendly materials and inks?
So glad you asked. Absolutely. We're actually FSC certified. So, eco-friendly packaging, both on the poly mailers, which are made from recycled material, post-consumer waste, and are recyclable, along with the boxes that are made of 100% recycled material, over 90% post-consumer waste. And you can also recycle those as well. The ink is soy-based inks. And as long as you're not using a gloss varnish, which is typically a plastic layer that makes your package look shiny, then you're totally solid. You're totally good to go. Which is why I think glossiness is kind of like an overrated thing. It's classic, psychological shiny object 101, right? You're just like, ooh, this is a shiny box. When you're doing that, you're probably sacrificing the fact that your package is eco-friendly. So I say stay away from that. Let the branding, colors, theme, so on and so forth be the substitute for something like, oh, I made my box shiny. That's probably hurting me by saying that, because it's expensive and you'll be paying us more to add gloss. But I personally, I get more excited when I see cool designs. I don't say, look how shiny this box is. I say, wow, the complementary colors of like blue and orange that they used here was pretty well done. And I think that's probably what your customers are going to go for too. But yeah, long story short, again, we have eco-friendly packaging, all made in the USA. Yeah,
we're all going to be snobs now. What's shiny, what's not glossy.
Totally. You're like, oh, this is glossy. They're clearly hiding something.
Exactly. That's awesome. Lots of comments in the chat around shipping to Canada being expensive from the US. So Elizabeth had a question. She asked if using SFN would help reduce costs of shipping to Canada.
So, I mean, we've opened our first warehouse in Canada. So depending on the type of inventory that it makes sense for you to host there. So for example, you could be picking a small selection of your inventory to host there and test. And that would be a way to see, how does that reduce shipping costs? How does that reduce last mile? Or you could be doing your entire inventory for just a smaller sector to serve that Canadian customers. And yes, you would be able to save overall, you'd be able to save because we'd be closer and that shipping distance would be less. So I'd say generically, yes, if you're hosting product in that Canadian warehouse, which if you're shipping to Canada through SFN, we would definitely recommend you do.
Amazing. Because you can probably store things. I know that all the fulfillment networks speak to each other with inventory and they help you plan things out. So, if you have a lot of Canadian customers, then that can kind of help maybe 60% of your inventory can be in Canada, 40 in the US. And so maybe it'll be a bigger impact for others than, depending on what you have. So that's good to know. And question from Justin, is there any special barcodes or bundle packaging that is required before sending product to fulfillment centers?
Good question.
Yeah, so there's we have a bunch of different steps in terms of how to make sure that you're properly barcoding and getting your product ready for its first, what would be called an inbound transfer. So the first time that you ship us something, and it arrives at the warehouse and we get it organized so that it's okay, good for orders can start coming in, we can start shipping out. So yeah, there's a few steps there that you help us get organized and make sure that we're giving you that consistent, again, like delivery experience.
Yeah, awesome. And a question for either Phil or Danny again. Question from Lauren. Can we order different samples to review several options before we make a final decision on packaging?
Sure. I mean, we do a flat fee. It's like $30 for a fully branded to your brand. Like I need to emphasize this. For $30, you can get a sample of a box that has your branding on it. Or you can do like an order of 10, which in some cases is like $50. So if you want to pass them around, but again, not a moneymaker from us. It's $30 so that people don't just ask for free samples all day. Otherwise don't think we're like exploiting you by doing that. It's funny. We've gotten some Facebook messages when it was like $50. They're like, oh my goodness, one box is $50. We're like, no, a sample is $50, not one box. So thank you for asking that question. So I can finally get on a platform to tell everyone, no, it's just for
You'll
sample.
be able to sleep tonight.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Well, I mean, you work with other companies. Truth be told, samples are like $350 if you want from, an everyday manufacturer. Samples are so expensive. And these are fully branded for like $30. And I encourage companies to do that. Get it in your hands. So great question and smart move. But now is definitely the time to sample based on timelines because once you get the sample, there'll have to be the lead time of a week to get the sample, followed by the adjustments you want to make, followed by production of the full run. So sample all day, baby. That's a great way to start. It'll just help guide you on what you want to ultimately ship your product in, for sure.
Yeah, and $30, that's a pretty good price considering there's no, the more products you build, the cheaper it gets. If you're creating one custom box, it's like all that effort just into one product. So 30's not too bad, I would say.
Thanks.
And also, since we are nearing the top of the hour, so we do have the promo code Shopify15. So definitely, what's the 15% off? Is it from the monthly subscription? What are we?
Oh, it's just the cost of boxes. We actually, by the way, don't have a monthly subscription. It's totally free to use Arka. It's free to check out the course. But, there's per unit costs involved on the boxes. And, if it costs you $100, now it's going to cost you $85. So that's the
good
math.
To know. So we can go on there and start playing around with designing our boxes. And when you're ready to order, make sure you have that code. And And so before we wrap it up, maybe Danny can let us know for US merchants, how can they apply for Shopify Fulfillment Network and get started if they're interested?
Yeah, so I would say go visit shopify.com/fulfillment. You get to see a lot more about our distributed warehouses. Learn more about like what type of technology we're building and really how we're going to help you more affordably and ship faster on a consistent basis. There's a lot of apply here buttons in there that you can essentially click through, give us a bit more information about your business, and we'll be in touch shortly so that we can get you started.
Amazing. Perfect. So go on there. We'll drop some links in the chat so you can explore. Perfect. And so with that, Phillip and Danielle, thank you both for being here. Phillip for amazing presentation, and Danny for helping us field all these questions. We had almost half an hour of questions, so this is great.
Yeah, right on.
Thanks,
you guys.
Phil.
Great questions.
Awesome. And for everyone on the live call today, as always, we will have the replay sent out to you as well, so you can rewatch it. And if there's anyone in the future watching, you obviously found us on shopifycompass.com. Also, Arka's course is on there as well if you want to dig in there a little bit more. And only other thing is, if you have any feedback, let us know just below the video. There's a link to tell us what topics you're interested in hearing, any of that good stuff. And we will continue our BFCM series in the upcoming few weeks in our countdown to an amazing holiday shopping season. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.